Hello again, it's Ken Whiting with Paddle TV, and in this video we are doing a full-on review of the Sea Eagle Razorlite 393 RL, an inflatable kayak. It's designed to paddle apparently really well as a hard shell kayak, they say. We'll see if that's true though. Before we get right into it though, please subscribe to Paddle TV if you haven't already, because we got lots more gear reviews, paddling tips, and then paddling adventures coming your way. Let's get this thing set up and I'll tell you more about it. The Sea Eagle Razorlite 393 RL retails for $999 US. It's 12 feet 10 inches long. It's 28 inches wide. It weighs 35 pounds or 16 kilograms. It has a capacity of 500 pounds, and it's also available as a tandem. It's primarily designed for recreational paddling or recreational touring in sheltered water, with the intermediate and above paddler in mind. The Razorlite is made with drop stitch construction that can be inflated to a rigid 10 psi. It has a removable skeg, adjustable foot braces, rigid and slicey bow and sterns, an adjustable high back seat, 2 drain valves, 3 air chambers that if you puncture one, you'll still float. And the package comes with a backpack, repair kit, pump, and basic paddle. Well, that didn't take very long at all. In fact, that was probably the quickest inflation of an inflatable kayak that I've done yet. I had to throw, the toughest thing was actually putting the foot pegs in, but it wasn't that tough. Once I did it once, you realized, oh, that's how you do it. And I love the idea of having foot pegs in an inflatable kayak. That's not a common thing, but foot pegs provide performance. There's no doubt about it. Foot pegs are, for me, almost a must-have, unless I really don't care about paddling any long distance. I just want to paddle a boat to get on the water and enjoy the day, which is fine if that's the ticket. But if you want a boat with performance, then I think foot pegs are key, and I love the fact that this boat has them. Aside from being really easy to pump up and having foot pegs, I like the looks of this boat. Purely the geometry of it. It's a narrow inflatable kayak. I'm used to inflatable kayaks being wider, which means this probably isn't going to be as stable as some of the other ones out there, but it's got more of a touring kayak or rec touring kayak feel to it. I think this thing is going to be pretty fast in the water. Probably give up a little bit of stability for it. One thing I noticed too with this seat, nice seat, looks like a nice seat, we'll soon find out. It's nice high in the back, so having a high back life jacket is going to be pretty key here. Otherwise, if I have foam between me and the seat, it's going to push me forward. It'll be a bit uncomfortable. So having one of those life jackets that doesn't have foam on the back where this will get in the way is going to be key. But no, I'm looking forward to trying this boat. It looks good to me. So let's hit the water and see how she does. Now that I've had a good chunk of time to really paddle this boat, get a feel for it, here's what I can tell you. And maybe actually before I get into telling you about my feelings about this boat, I should preface that by saying I'm not sponsored by these guys or for any of the gear reviews I do. They're unbiased. These are just me telling you how I feel after trying these things out. You're gonna get the good and you're gonna get the bad. Fortunately, a lot of the manufacturers right now most of them are making great products, and so there typically isn't a lot of bad if you go with a reputable manufacturer. And Sea Eagle is a reputable manufacturer. They've been doing this for a long time, and they are leaders in inflatable kayaks, and it shows. And we'll start with performance. They say this thing performs like a hard shell kayak, and it really is very close. I think most people paddling it would feel like it does. And I think it's not quite there, but it's very close. It's super rigid because it's of the drop stitch design. You pump it up to 10 PSI, it's very rigid. It doesn't feel flimsy whatsoever. And the bow and the stern, that knife heart edge it's got at the front is wonderful. It just cuts through the water. And so it really does perform very well. Now, comfort-wise, it's a comfortable boat. You know, there's not a lot. It's a very simple boat. I mean, because it's soft, it's comfortable. The foot pedals, the foot pegs, they make it comfortable too. I've said this many times, but I think it's a key factor not only for performance but for comfort. It having good support for your feet. The back, the seat is for an inflatable kayak. It's solid. You know, it's not epically comfortable. A hard shell kayak with a good seat is more comfortable, but it's very solid. So it's not as comfortable as an equivalent hard shell kayak, but it's definitely not an uncomfortable kayak. Stability. This kayak paddles so well because it's narrower than most inflatable kayaks, than most rec kayaks. It's a rec touring kayak. It's kind of a crossbreed. It's about 29 inches, 28 or 29 inches wide up top, but at the waterline, it's around 25 inches wide. And that means it's faster because it's narrow, but it also means it's a little less stable. Its initial stability is a little bit less than some kayaks. And that's why they call it a kayak for intermediate plus paddlers. And that's understandable. You don't hop in this thing and have this complete confidence that there's no way I could flip this thing like you do in some kayaks. You give up some of that, but what you gain is performance. One of the flip sides to that is it has great secondary stability. And secondary stability is its desire to sit on that secondary edge. So like for higher performance paddling, hey, if you're just cruising around flat water, you probably will never use this, but when you're doing more higher performance paddling, having that ability is really nice. Now, durability, it's an inflatable kayak, and so it's not going to be as durable as a hard shell kayak. But for an inflatable kayak, having only tested it for an hour, my impression is that it's built really well, and that if you take care of it like you need to take care of an inflatable kayak, it's going to last. It's going to last a long time. In fact, I ran into a rock and it sounded a bit like ooh, but it was not a problem whatsoever. This thing took it really well. The only part of the boat that I question durability wise is the removable skeg or the removable fin. It's a big piece of plastic that sticks down. I've already had a similar skeg off another kayak break. It's a weak point. There's no doubt about it that it's a weak point. And so, when I tried paddling this thing without the skeg, and as I'd expect, as anyone would expect, it loses its trackability. So it's not nearly as nice to paddle without the skeg. So you have to be careful of the skeg when you paddle this thing. So finally, the features of this kayak. There's not a lot of features, and there's nothing wrong with that. A kayak doesn't need a lot of bells and whistles. It is what it is. It's a great paddling kayak, and it's got the features that matter. A good supporting, comfortable seat, foot pegs that provide support and power, and lots of comfortable space. So, that's about all you need feature-wise, unless you're looking for special items. It doesn't have the opportunity to customize because it doesn't have gear tracks and things that a hard shell kayak would have. So that's a bit of a drawback, but that's to be expected with an inflatable kayak. I'm going to keep paddling. I got to go around this island up here. I got about probably only another mile of paddling to go, and then I'll let you know summarize it all, let you know if I come up with any more ideas. Well, there you have it. All in all, I gotta say, so the Sea Eagle Razorlite 393 RL. That's a mouthful, but all in all, it's a really nice boat. You know, it's the kind of boat that if portability was a real factor in my life, I would definitely consider, and I would definitely think it's worth the money. It isn't for me because I don't have to worry about stowage and transportation of kayaks, and so it's probably not a boat I would get for that simple reason. But I really do like this boat. It performs very well. I would say anybody, really from kids almost, not young kids, but youth to good-sized adults, anyone my size or even a bit bigger. I'm 6'2" to 200 pounds, and I felt totally comfortable in this thing. I didn't feel like I was pushing the weight boundaries of this boat at all. I think it'd be great for anyone, any size, but you really do want to have some paddling experience. They say intermediate plus, and I totally agree with that. The speed, the performance you get from this thing is traded off with a bit of instability that comes from it being narrow. And it's not a problem if you have experience, but if you're someone who just wants to get out on the water, cruise around, and not have to even think about balance, then probably not the right boat for you. If you're somebody who wants to go and cover some ground and, you know, get some exercise and have a boat that really can perform in a broad range of conditions, maybe not rough conditions, but some, you know, more open, big lakes, rivers. It could do a lot, and you got a lot of stowage too. It's almost like feels like a canoe, one of those solo canoes, the pack boats in a way. Anyway, definitely give it a thumbs up. There is going to be a link in the description box down below for where you can find more information about this thing. And otherwise, if you haven't already, do subscribe to Paddle TV. I'm going to be doing lots more gear reviews, and as well as lots of tips, paddling adventures, all sorts of stuff on the channel. So leave a comment. Tell me what you think of this video. Tell me what you think of this boat if you've tried it before. If you have any questions, fire away. I'll get back to you as soon as I can, and we'll see you again for more paddling action.